Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti-financial advisor. Hey guys, this show is for you and it is about you. The reason I'm doing this show is because I want you to be free. I want you to have that cash flow, that freedom, that prosperity today where you work because you want to, not because you have to, right? Where you can have that freedom, that prosperity right now, not 30 or 40 years from now, if the market just happens to do the right things the right time. And if you happen to scrimp and save and sacrifice and suffer your entire life away, that is not what we're here about, guys. We are here about freedom and cash flow now. If you guys want that passive income, this is why you're here, right? You want to be able to have those options, that choice and that freedom. And guys, it's not just about your own freedom, but it's about creating a ripple effect in the lives of others, because as you're blessed, you can be more powerful, more free to be able to bless others' lives too and create a legacy, not just for yourself, but imagine your family and your children and what you can create by creating something different than what most everybody in the America, especially in the United States, have been dealing with. That's what we're here about today. Hey, as a reminder, check out our website, moneyripples.com. You can download our book, what is it called? Beyond Rice and Beans. That's right. I've said it so many times, I'm forgetting it. But you can download Beyond Rice and Beans, 7 Secrets to Free Up Cash Today, that you can get great tips for finding money, especially if you need it. If you're the type of person that says, I've got money, but what do I do with it? You can even use the contact us page and reach out to us and say, Chris, like, what can I do in my situation? Maybe I can become free in the next 5 or 10 years. Yes, that could be you. Reach out and ask us those questions. So anyways, guys, check that out. So today, guys, I want to talk about something that I'm seeing happen a lot in the last few months. And I think is one of the biggest money leaks that might exist. And the question I have to ask you is this, are you dragging your feet? Are you preventing yourself from investing right now out of fear? Are you kind of holding back because you're scared or uncertain about what's going on in the world today? You know, maybe you're saying, I've got cash, but I'm afraid to invest it because what if I pick wrong? Or, man, in the past, I have picked wrong. I made mistakes. I don't want to do that again. You know what? Understand? I completely understand you guys. So let me give you a story here. When I went through the last recession, right? Now, up to 2006, 2007, I thought I could walk on water. I thought I had the Midas touch, that whatever I touched turned to gold, right? You know, it's like, man, money's coming so easily. It seems like I go do this investment, I make the money back. It's great. But I was really delusional, right? It wasn't because there was something wrong with the markets. There was something wrong with me. And I think one of the biggest fears that people have, it's not so much about what's going on in the world, but more people I find as we dig deeper, is they're more afraid of themselves. Is this you? Like, are you saying, I think it's like the markets, but really in truth, if I knew what I was doing, or if I was confident in what I was doing, I probably wouldn't fear what's going on in the world so much. I would probably say, great, I know how to maneuver this because I have the knowledge and the tools and the expertise to do that, right? And that's true. That's what happened to me. I was just naive, right? I was overly optimistic and I got burned in the recession. It was interesting because as I came out of the recession, I was, building my way back, right? Trying to get to that point where I was able to retire the second time. For me, it was scary, especially as I started to try new things. Like when I bought my first real estate, like investment property again, I was scared to death, right? Because the properties I had before, I lost, or I had to sell and was barely able to break even, if that. It really cost me money, But I had lost properties. I had bad renters. I had all this kind of stuff happen where it looked like anything I did was horrible, right? All the things I thought I did was amazing. Found out that in truth, everything I was doing was wrong. And I remember I was talking to a friend about this, and she said, "You know what, Chris? If you would stop holding yourself hostage to the past, if you would just let go of the past, forgive yourself, and look forward. Don't look back. Like, sure, learn from those lessons." But she asked me, she said, "Chris, are you the same person you were several years ago?" I said, "No, I guess not." Like, I definitely, that affected me a lot. Like, I definitely have been changed. I've definitely gotten a little bit wiser because of it. She said, "Well, Chris, why are you afraid of the same thing happening again when you're a different person? The same thing can't happen if you're a different person. It won't happen." She's like, "If you just let that fear barrier go, you'll make millions." And I remember at that time, like, again, I was just trying to struggle and get out of it. Making millions to me was like, wow, that sounds incredible. I would love to make millions. I can't even fathom what that's like to make millions. I can tell you guys now from hindsight, she was 100% correct. But the fear has got to stop for you guys, right? You got to get over that hump, that fear. The best way to do that is really a few things you can do here, right? One, you can always reach out to someone that could be like a mentor for you, right? It doesn't have to be me, right? It doesn't have to be me at all. You could be reaching out to someone that's a family member that you know has kind of been through the life of hard knocks, right? They've been through something. It could be a friend or something like that, but someone that definitely has been where you want to go or is currently are where you want to go. Don't judge them by having cars, nice houses. Don't go off of that. Go off of actually have done the thing that you want to do. Like people come to me all the time. They say, Chris, I come to you because you've done it. Not only just did it once, but you did it twice. So I figured you probably have something to teach, even though I've done things for years. Even some of them was like, I've done real estate forever, or I've done investing forever, but I feel like maybe you can give me a different perspective on it, right? Find a mentor like that, someone that say, you can give me a different perspective or at least an outside perspective to help me see what's going on. Because some of the times the best thing you can do is have somebody that's forward thinking or maybe in your future to say, here, I know how to bridge that gap. Let's get there. So that's one. Two, sometimes the best way to overcome fear is to just do it anyways. For me, the only way to overcome that fear was buy an investment property, right? I had to do it. I had to experience it. That's why I rave about it now, because I said, oh, I did it. And look, it worked. I didn't get burned, By the way, key point, if you're looking at investing in real estate properties, don't just buy one, buy multiple, right? So that you can say, look, I can prove it. Because if you get that one, then something bad goes wrong. You say, oh, it happened to me again. I've had clients like that where they said, oh, I bought this one property and now the renters are moving and now I haven't been paid on my rent for the last 2 months, and I'm paying my mortgage payment. And I was like, listen, like it doesn't have to keep happening again. Sometimes people will attract the very thing they fear. Whatever you fear, you'll tend to attract more into your life. So be careful of that. Whatever you worry about will come about. So don't worry about that. I'm not saying don't worry, be happy, but kind of like that. So anyways, sometimes just doing the thing you fear will do it, will help, right? That's why I did a marathon last year. I had to do the marathon that hurt me so bad. It got me to quit marathons. I had to do it again just to say, look, I create a new and different experience. Here's the third thing, and I want to put some emphasis on this. The third thing is learning to trust your intuition. Some people say going with your gut, right? Trusting your gut, going with that feeling that's inside. I would tell you, looking in hindsight, when the last recession, before it hit, I had absolute feelings. I had little whisperings and feelings that said, this doesn't feel right. Like almost like it's almost like those spidey senses go off, right? It was like, something doesn't feel right about this. I was like, but you know what? Hey, I'll make the numbers work. It's fine. I'll make it happen, And then of course, the very things that I of course were worried about did happen. The other thing too is that there's been times in my life that I felt something was right. Sometimes I didn't act on it, so I don't know what happened. Just nothing happened. But when I have acted on those right feelings, things worked out. So for example, my business model here with Money Ripples, right, had shifted. In 2015, I'd done 6 live events, and I was inviting people from all over the country. I was trying to fill seats. It was a lot of work. Also during that same year, I went through a divorce, which was burning. It had burned me out. Even by the time we got to the last 2 events of the year, I was done. It was so hard for me to do those events and want to keep putting energy in. I was exhausted. And I remember my mentor at that time said, Chris, you know what? You need to do like what my model is. You need to do at least one of these a month. So not just 6 in a year, 12 in a year. You got to double it. And I thought, oh my goodness, that sounds horrible. And I remember at that time, I started to really pull back the layers of myself, get to know myself again, as well as my business. And I'll tell you, the more you get to know yourself, the better, the more powerful you can become. And as I got to know myself, I started to realize, I said, you know what? My gut's telling me not to do that. Like something's deep down is telling me, don't go for that. And so I said, you know what? I feel like I shouldn't do more events. I should do less. I'm going to do 3 instead. I'm not going to do double. I'm going to cut them in half. And instead of trying to fill seats, I'm only going to invite people I want to be there. So I'm only going to invite people that I think should be there, not just try to make my ego feel good by filling a bunch of seats in a room. I'm like, I'll see what happens. And guess what? My ego was definitely not inflated because the first event I did had 5 people in it, not 50, 5, just 5. And one of them was really a helper. I knew she didn't have any money. She was just helping me out. So really there's only 4 people and there were just 2 couples. Here's the crazy thing. They were the right people. I knew the right people. They knew they were the right people. 1 hour into that event, I turned around and told them, I said, guys, listen, I already know that you guys are perfect clients for me. Let me just teach you some great stuff, over the next couple of days, and then we'll figure out how we can work together. Sound good? And they said, yep. Guess what? End of that event, both people became clients. I made more profit from that event because it was such a small event, right? I made more profit from that than the bigger events I did. And I was happier. I was more relaxed. It was easier to manage and maintain. It was awesome. Guys, each of you have this kind of spidey sense. You have this intuition within you. I've had some of you tell me, Chris, I don't have that intuition, or I don't trust it because I feel like anytime I try to listen to it, I get it wrong. Here's the thing. You got to learn to listen to hear what it is. Well, for me, what it is that I get a kind of this yes, right? If I get kind of this stupor of thought, or I get, or if I have something that feels exciting and I let it wait out for a few days, I kind of wait out that emotion. And a few days later, if it's not on my mind, if it's not still sticking with me, it's not a good thing for me to do. If even after a couple of days though, I'm like, this still feels good, that's what I should do. And I've done that. And I'll tell you, like, it made a difference. Also, if I don't get excited about it, I don't do it. I mean, there's times I've had people reach out that, in fact, just today, I had somebody reach out that I knew immediately, even just from their message, that I wasn't the person for them. And so I asked, some follow-up questions, of course, just to kind of verify it. But my intuition said no, like, like I almost felt like the sinking feeling. Where when it's right, it feels almost lighter, right? It just feels right. Doesn't mean that it's always going to go smoothly. I'll remind you of that. Doesn't mean you get this perfect little paved path, although that can happen. That's not always the case, but it feels right. And I'll tell you, that's when my business shifted. My business went from, one, I reduced a lot of expenses and overhead to the point where I 10x my profits in about a year. But then, or within a couple of years, actually, it was probably 5x within the first year, 10x after a couple of years. But then even my revenue had gone like 10x as a result of that. And so that's the cool thing, guys, is that when you listen to that intuition, the fear can go away. You can actually start to trust it more. So my advice to you is this, is that, and again, it's different for everybody. Sometimes you guys will feel it differently. You might get tingles. You might feel certain things. I would just say, go back to the decisions you made. It might've been whether or not you should go on the date with that person that eventually became your spouse, right? You just knew it was the right thing. That's the thing, is that when you get the right information, even with investments, I've told people, even with people that traded stocks, I said, listen, even if all the numbers look right, but something just doesn't feel right, don't do it. That's like investing 202, is that regardless of what all the numbers say and the data says, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. When in doubt, stay out. But if it feels right, that's the time to do it. I don't have a rhyme for that one, sorry, but I could probably create one. But anyways, if it feels good, if it feels right, go for it. Don't let your fears pull you back in. I've had so many clients where, especially in the last several months, pull back because of fear. And I'm here to tell you that most of that fear was unwarranted. It was not even worth it. It was all just mind games. They overthink it, right? Sometimes the best thing to do is to not overthink. Feel it out. Trust that instinct. Because that intuition sees things subconsciously that maybe your conscious mind can't pick up on, but it knows. Trust it. Go with it. And I'll tell you that even for my investing, it's been the best thing ever. When I've selected properties, go off the feeling, going off the gut. Even if the numbers say something one way, the gut tells me another, I go with the gut. If they both line, even better, right? We want that. If it's good numbers and it's a good feeling, it's great. So guys, that's my real advice to you guys, that if you can really hone this skill, you'll start to realize that you don't have to have someone tell you what to invest in. You can have someone give you options. That's a lot of times what I do with my clients, but I never tell them what to invest in. But when you perfect that ability to say, this feels right, let's go this direction, you perfect that, you will accelerate your progress. So anyways, guys, that's the advice I want to leave you with today. I hope you make it a wonderful and prosperous week, and trust your gut. Go with your intuition, go with that feeling, make it a wonderful day. We'll see you.